Hey, hello everyone. Hello everyone. Welcome to Growth Mindset. This is Anthony Thompson and Robert.
Hello, how everybody? How's everybody doing today?
Yes, we're here to talk about the relevant events of this week and educate ourselves through the perspective of the people. So we usually have a guest, but we're kind of just doing this 1-2 shot kind of today. So I wouldn't say bear with us. What I would say is that it's going to be more interesting because now we're going to be one-on-one, really battling about how we feel about these issues. Some of these, I'm actually going to be maybe the median in this conversation, because we're going to have a very interesting talk about the economic Biden cabinet choices, which are Jeffrey Zients and probably Neera Tanden if she is confirmed by the Senate. And there's other people, and also we're going to be talking about. Apologize for that, just missing something. COVID updates, obviously, and then also the lame duck executions that Donald Trump is doing, which are a unparalleled federal thing. In a lame duck session, you do not kill people. It's just something that you don't do. Also, then Donald Trump talking about having to have Section 230, which is a protection for large companies and regular companies when it comes to rights, digital rights, and India's protests, which are happening. So we'll start with Jeffrey Zients, which is kind of a compelling topic because we're talking about, can progressives really come into office? Are they these people that they would call themselves progressives, but when we look at Jeffrey Zients, for instance, and Neera Tanden and other people, it's quite often people that we need to call middle ground people. So 1 second, sorry about that.
No problem.
Jeffrey Zients, a candidate to lead the administration's coronavirus response team, is arousing resistance from some progressive Democrats. Was the head of the Obama's administration's National Economic Council, working to push across the finish line a federal rule that would prevent financial advisors from taking advantage of retirees. He won praise from progressives for fending off this fierce resistance from Wall Street and for fighting for consumer protections. Mr. Zients joined the private equity investor Vincent May's Cranmer Fund as chief executive. The private holding company has investors from the United States, and it's important. Can you actually go back to that picture of Jeffrey Zients? It's very relevant. Just to go back to cut into my quote here, but it is really seeing Obama's team just come back into office. So that is one of the more relevant points. If that is a positive or a negative is what I think we need to discuss. So just to finish to talk about Mr. Zients, he joined the private equity investor Vincent May's Cranmer Fund as chief executive. You can pan out if you'd like.
Okay.
The private holding company has investors from the United States, Europe, Latin America, and the Middle East, and takes a long-term investing approach in the mold of Warren E. Buffett. So basically, it's a large investment company that is basically going around the world and has different interests. It doesn't necessarily mean they're good or bad. It just means that that's their interest, is to go around the world and do so. So they're a little bit of a globalist effort. There are concerns from progressive advocacy groups that he would defend corporate America if given top economic policy jobs in the Biden administration. They view his recent work running an investment fund as a problem, and as also he was on the board of Facebook until he decided that he could not deal with their practices this year. So this happened this year that he stepped down from the Facebook board. How do you see this, Robert? Like, this is...
I see a lot of conflicts of interests. Like, a lot of people, more corporate lobbyists type of, like, behind the scenes craziness going on, that's just how I look at it. I mean, people say Obama was a great president, but they did a lot of corporate Democrat type of things in the background that a lot of people didn't see. And I feel like this is, now that Biden's back in, it's more of the same old with it. So it's just, to me, like a lot of conflict of interest issues that I see there. They should have more people related, and I don't know if that makes sense to you or not, but
yeah, I believe that they should. I honestly don't believe, I never believe that anyone is going to do anything further than who they are. And who Biden is trying to return to, quote unquote, an Obama era ideology. So I can't.
Yeah, I'm saying more center right type of like they say, oh, we're left, and it's funny because I was listening to a lot of new stuff lately, and they're talking about all these new progressive things. They're using the word progressive and like it's nothing, you know what I mean? Like, oh, we're gonna be the most progressive thing this year in this administration, and blah 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 blah. And then I'm hearing them do things that seem to be more corporatist than anything else, and it's like kind of taking the name and throwing the word progressive and throwing it in the trash. And then they have people like this, and like you said, we're gonna talk about Neera Tandem.
Yeah.
Tandem. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong.
No, no.
It's all the same stuff. It's like they give you the illusion of, oh, we're gonna do this and that for the people, but then you start looking at their history and realizing that a lot of their stuff was very, very corporate, behind the scenes, like capitalistic type of, like, I don't know, it's craziness, man. But go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that this whole argument about using progressive is an argument that, the first video shows this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it is something that is actually an old thing where the use of progressive is almost we're reinstating what progressive is now. We're redefining it in a way. So what the progressive era for like what we would call Sanders supporters mostly, or even just leftists, more socialists. There are people who are leftists who do not like Sanders for different reasons, or do not. I don't know. I don't think you should give anybody too much praise, but they don't give as much praise to him because for different reasons.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, what I would throw up is this first video with Zients in it.
Okay.
It's fair to say that past trade agreements have not always lived up to the hype. And important here in the Trans-Pacific Partnership, the president will be renegotiating NAFTA with enforceable labor and environmental standards in the core of the agreement. In the past, enforcement of labor and environmental standards have been side agreements. This completes the president's promise to renegotiate NAFTA by making labor and environmental provisions enforceable. So this will be the most progressive trade agreement there's ever been.
They're really more about protection of investments and achievements of regulatory harmonization.
I would maybe push back a little bit on what Larry says here, in that I think this is about making sure that our American workers compete on a level playing field. A level playing field in terms of labor, a level playing field in terms of the environment, and a strong Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement enables us to have our workers and companies compete on a level playing field. And when we compete on a level playing field, we win. For those reasons we talked about earlier. We lead the world in innovation. We have the most productive workforce. We have this new source of competitive advantage in energy. So I'll take our team any day if the playing field is indeed level. And that's what strong progressive trade agreements do. They level the playing field for our American workers.
Yep. Progressive. Like, yeah, that's not progressive,
this was
man.
2015, and this is 2015. This is when Obama was still in office. So it's the idea of, it's a word. And unfortunately, what I've learned is that it is used at certain points, and it's not incorrect to think that having a global market is it is a progressive thought. But at the same time, the way that the TPP was actually enabled did not really do that. It really gave a lot of power to corporate industries. And then also they ended up then merging with each other over the last 4 to 5 years. So it's not like that was really helpful. That wasn't truly progressive. It was more that it was an idea that in its standing as a theoretical topic, it is progressive. So you can say it is, and it becomes a rhetorical instrument to say, I am progressive.
Yeah. That's crazy, man. I've concluded that, like, they know what's popular now. They know that the progressive people, like the more far left people, that's the word that they can relate to. And they're using it to make it seem like whatever they're doing is innocent in reality. And they're also saying that to the people that don't know any better, that that's the reason why they're using it. They want to make it, oh, we're not far left, but we're left enough to be progressive. They have the progressive, was it the Progressive Caucus or whatever, and I think that's what they call it. Is it the,
well, even more importantly, who we're going to talk about next, not quite next, but pretty soon, is Neera Tanden, and she is the center of sorry about this name. I always want to get it right. Center for American Progress. I always just call it CCAP, but Center for American Progress. So that is one of the least progressive left groups there is, and it's not that it's not a left group. I have to admit that it is actually probably one of the solid choices here. I hate the choice because it's literally placating to the center of the movement. It makes people believe that this group of people were the important and relevant factors in getting Biden elected, and that's the only thing that matters. The people who got Biden elected, not
Yeah.
necessarily progressives who are the left side of the wing, so they didn't do enough. And that's really how it is. You didn't do enough to help me.
Yep.
So I'm not going to have any of you in office now.
Yep. It's a shame, man. Like they did Bernie dirty. They did all of them dirty. They did Warren dirty. I don't really consider Warren a progressive anymore after all the stuff that she's done, like to Bernie in general. Like if she was really quote unquote progressive and, doing the things that she was doing, she would have stuck by Bernie because she would have known Bernie would have had the policies that were more in tune to what she wanted. But instead, she did him dirty. And there's a lot of like, the politics behind all this stuff. I can't wait till this. Oh, what did I do here? Sorry about that.
Oh no.
So no, it's okay. I hit the
yeah,
hitting buttons. My hand slipped and hit a button. I apologize about that.
We can fix that.
Yeah. But what was I gonna say? I kept my hands too close to the buttons. But yeah, regarding Warren, well, not Warren, just them in general. It's like what they did to Bernie.
Warren's a good example because Warren should have gotten a better role in. It doesn't seem like she's going to get a role at all.
Not at all.
So
they took advantage of all of them. Yang's on a blackout. They said that that they're not showing him anymore. Well, at least not that much on television anymore. All that's. It's funny. Like I watch my mom watch MSNBC. Like every day I go to her house. I visit her at least 2 to 3 times a week, to help out. And it's like the things that they feed people, they're like, oh, like believe this, believe that, and we're progressive and we're this, we're that, we're gonna be as far left as we've ever been in the past. And all the stuff that they're showing, like if you pay enough attention and you look at the people that they're trying to bring into the office, the folds, or whatever it is. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why. I've been working too hard, man. Sorry, but you understand what I'm saying. They're doing all this stuff, and it's so contradictory to what it should be. They're supposed to say, "Oh, we're going to bring Bernie in. Bernie's going to do this. We're going to do that with this person because they have the best." Like, what's wrong with doing a Green New Deal? Like, if it means helping the environment and the economy and everything else, they say it's too expensive. They've proven in this country that they could pay for pretty much anything. Like when it comes to medical health, healthcare, when it comes to, whatever they wanted to do, if they really wanted to do progressive and more left-leaning stuff, they could do it, but they choose not to. They keep bringing in people. Why they're talking about the Trans-Pacific Partnership and all these like other things just tells me that they're going back to the way it was. It might not be. It's like they're going back a little bit compared to what Trump wants. But it's very little change. It's very little change. Like it's like very manipulative. If you pay enough attention, you could see that they're making it look like we're going to do all this stuff. I'm like, but that's what was happening during the Obama years. It's like that. What did people get during that period of time? They didn't.
Well, then I hate to read this whole section, but I should read this whole section just before we move on to near Tandon. Okay. Is that it's just because this is a lot of relevant information. In this Obama administration, his role was essentially to be a management consultant for the executive branch, cutting costs, finding efficiencies, and looking at things like a businessman. The revolving door document says, the group points to the majority stakes that Krenemeyer took in North Star Anesthesia, a company that provides anesthesia services to hospitals and medical offices, in 2018. It cites negative reviews that North Star Anesthesia received through the Better Business Bureau, including allegations of surprise billing and threat to send a dental patient's bill to a collection agency during a dispute over insurance coverage. So I have to also then say what the other picks are right now. And none of these picks have also been, they're not all bad picks. These include Janet L. Yellen, the former Federal Reserve Chair, to be Treasury Secretary, Cecilia Rose, a Princeton University labor economist, to run the Council of Economic Advisors. And then there's Neera Tanden, the chief executive of the Center for American Progress, to lead the Office of Management and Budget. The problem with Neera Tanden, which I almost wanted to play a video for it, but at the same time, it almost seemed a little incendiary. The problem with her is that people like, oh, okay. Do you have the video?
No, I
Oh,
have,
okay, good.
yeah.
You have the image of it. So Neera Tanden, it's important to note, is a center figure for Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton. Neera Tanden is Joe Biden's nominee for director of the White House Office of Management and the Budget. Joe Biden's nominee for a key economic post has deleted most of her 1,000 tweets of her own tweets. So that's what I mean, is that she's a little bit of a shady character, and there are people that are.
She said she wants to cut like entitlements. She said
Yes.
it, and there's video of her saying it. You know, which is.
She is a center. She's a neoliberal figure,
Yeah.
and it is interesting that the name of her think tank is Center for American Progress, because it's one of those uses of words to get a point across without actually meaning anything. But just to finish real quick, Tannen is a former policy aide to Hillary Clinton, has also been a fierce critic of the senators for the Democratic side of the aisle. For example, the progressive Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders. So a lot of the people who have issues with Neera Tanden are people who were Sanders supporters who got a lot of flaming from her. And that's the thing. It seems like a lot of flailing straight at the face of people who were Sanders supporters. And it almost feels a little predatory that we were forced to vote for you, and you're not going to have any of us be on the cabinet.
But they took advantage of the fact that they knew everybody wanted Trump out. You know what I mean? They knew the progressives wanted Trump out. They knew if we would have like done what happened, well, we didn't really cause Trump to get elected in the first place, because they want to say that progressives, oh, you didn't vote enough for us, and that's why Trump got elected. No, we voted more for for Hillary Clinton than Hillary Clinton supporters did for Barack Obama when the time came. So at the end of the day, they could point the finger at whoever they want to blame, but we did our part in both elections, and we were kind of like forced to do what we wanted. We didn't want any of that at the end of the day. You know, I think it was like 25% of Hillary Clinton supporters didn't want to vote for Barack Obama, while 15%, I think it was either, 15% didn't for Bernie, and 25 for Hillary, or whatever it was, something like that, if I'm correct. At the end of the day, it's like it's all they just want to point the finger. For whatever reasons things don't go their way, they point the finger. And they knew that we didn't want to have Trump in office. He's caused a lot of death. He's caused a lot of hardships for everybody. You know what I mean? Like in regards to financial hardships. Why is my mouth
hardships?
You
said it, man.
It's like my mouth is dry. I'm sitting here. I had coffee, and for some reason my mouth is drier now. Maybe it was a little too hot. But, anyways, then for everybody, so we all want him out. So we were forced to settle at the end of the day, and it's bad. And now they're taking advantage of it. They got what they wanted, and now they're gonna take their ball and go home. You know what I mean? That's what it feels like. They're like, let's play together now. Then they're like, okay, we're done. And then they just left with it. So it's
I almost hate to ask you, but can we jump to VC4 in a minute or two?
Yeah, VC4, not a problem. We could do that right about now. Let me just make
I got not just quite yet. I set that up real quick.
You didn't want to do VC2 first, or you want to go to VC4?
Oh, do you have it? Sorry
about
that.
I have VC2. That's the
Oh yeah. So excuse me. Yeah, play that. I didn't know if you had it, because I didn't. It was YouTube, so I forgot to record that.
Yeah, I have it right here. Let me just enlarge it, because it's all right.
Honestly, I'm going to talk over most of it, but there's still stuff to say about Neera Tanden, and also about these choices for the economic. Yeah, so we don't have to play all of it, but here.
Yeah, just bear with me. Because I know, like with the audio on this thing, it causes a little bit of issues. But let me know if you're hearing anything. Why is this not on?
You shouldn't even bother. The audio, you don't need it.
Oh, okay. You don't. All right. All right, hold on. Let me just restart this. Sorry, bear with me, man. Just gotta restart this. Great. Of course, they're showing a commercial. Bear with me, man. I just gotta let the commercial run through, and then I'll cut over to it. Contact.
Copy that. That's why I felt bad. I forgot to.
No, it's
That's
not your
on me.
fault. All right, here we go.
So Nina Tana's is the nomination. It's just really, this is just showing her.
I'll just
And the fact
rewind it for you. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's all good. It's just that the Nina Tana's was the nomination. It's just really just showing who she is. So I would have played this under what we were doing. So I'm actually more concerned with the fact that, is this a intentional jab at us? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to get this set up so you could see the thing.
It's all right. I'm gonna
Accurate.
probably cut this area out.
Yeah, but go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Is this kind of a stab at the people who worked on the political left, who were too far left? Because this is somebody who most people dislike. They just dislike her, and maybe you don't have to like her. Maybe that's very important, that we don't have to like her.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I don't like most politicians as is. You know what I mean? They're all full of crap. They say all the stuff that they say, and then, you know, at the end of the day, it's like they never back it up. How many politicians actually, you know, have done what they said they're going to do, you know, at the end of the day? But go ahead. I'm sorry. You know, it's just
that's
crazy. It's just crazy.
No, I mean, the only reason I was gonna go throw to Trump, because what you said about Trump was very relevant. That's why I wanted to go to the VC4, because unfortunately we have to talk about him being an insane person.
Yeah.
So it's hard to talk about Biden's cabinet picks, though. Sometimes it's important to talk about it, but I did not expect any better.
Yeah.
You know? I don't expect any more or any less. And it's not like this is a sure bet either. The Senate might not approve her just out of spite.
Yeah.
Because the Republicans either will, even with one majority vote, there's no way that she passes.
Yep. It's just like if they hold on to the Senate, nothing's gonna get done anyway. We have to get the Senate before anything. You know, what are we gonna do? Right now, we have to wait till Georgia, right? And then from there we can determine whether or not we have any
But do we want to talk about Georgia?
What, in regards to, what do you mean?
To the fact that, just to be honest, I don't think we are going to win. I think the outcry of people who believe that Trump should have won is going to be so significant that it's going to outswamp the people who will vote for Ossoff and I apologize, I forgot the other. I'll bring it up again, but basically those two people I do not see winning, unfortunately. I would love to, but I don't live there, and I can't say that. You know, a couple votes here and there is pretty anecdotal. Like I can't really say that that's enough to tell me where this is going to go.
Yep. I agree. I mean, I hope that, you know, people come out strong in Georgia again, you know, and we can get it. But like, you know, they're gonna try to like put a wall there so that we can't get anything done. And I agree with you in that sense that they're pissed off right now. Everybody's pissed off. They think the election was stolen and whatever else. So you're gonna have a lot of people just coming out of spite to just go vote. Yep. You know, so
Purdue against John Ossoff, and Kelly Loeffler against Democrat Reverend Raphael Warnock, who's I guess he is independent. He does not. Oh, it says Democrat. So Reverend Raphael Warnock. Warnock had that dog. If you've seen that video of him with the dog, and there's a little bit of there's like literally one fly that really loves to hang around my face right now.
Yeah, we bought what is it, a zapper in our house. We have a zapper that luckily we don't have the fly issues anymore, but we were getting little gnats. I know it's a little off the topic, but we put fly zappers in the house so that we'd get rid of them that way. But it's a nice little thing to get. They're like $30 or whatever, and it saves the hassle. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I know
No,
not
it's all good.
relevant.
That's it. I don't have much more to say. Like I said, talking about that cabinet is not, it's not on the top of my list right now. I believe that they're going to, I always thought they were going to pick moderate choices. I didn't
Yep.
think they were going to pick anybody that was going to be
Yep. Relevant
yeah,
to the progressive
sorry.
movement.
It's just how it is. It's just how it is.
Yeah, they don't care
So,
about the progressive movement. They've proven it to it. He said it during the debates. Oh, I beat Bernie Sanders and blah 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 blah. Right there and then I was like, okay, we got played. You know what I'm saying? Like we're not. Surprisingly, he still won or whatever. Thank God he won because I don't want Trump more than I don't want him. But I didn't expect it, and everybody in the progressive, who feels that they're progressive, minded or whatever, everybody knows that. You go to any type of independent media, they're talking about the fight's still going. Don't get it twisted. Just because we're getting rid of Trump doesn't mean the cause is over. Like we have to keep fighting for this. And so that's what I expected. I'm sure that's what you expected. I think a lot of these center minded people, like regular Democrats or whatever it is, they think that all's going to be great now. It's going to go back to the way it was and blah 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 blah. And in reality, it's still the same stuff. They're not making any big moves. We really need big moves in order for or big change at least in order for us to have like any significant impact on the environment, people's income and their well-being and their health and everything else. And we're not getting that with this administration. We're going to get the same old, and they're going to do what they got to do to make the economy look like it's doing well. But middle class and lower income people are still going to suffer unless they find some solutions. They're still fighting over stimulus packages. Like, give me a freaking break. You know what I mean? Okay, the election's over. What's the problem? And they still can't even come up with anything for the stimulus. And they said there's 3 packages or whatever currently being debated right now amongst, I guess, the Senate or whatever
none
it is.
of those packages have any teeth to them.
Nope.
But we're still going to do it.
Yep.
I mean, it's necessary. They're all necessary. But yeah, I mean, it's something to worry about.
Yep. It's crazy, man.
So can we unfortunately converge to something that we should be more an unprecedented action, in my opinion?
Okay, so you want me to video 4, right? Is that the one?
Yeah, but here we go. Okay. So so basically in the lame duck session right now, Donald Trump is going to do an unprecedented move and have federal executions scheduled before the inauguration day. Usually this is not done because capital punishment actually was not normal for at least a good 8 years. We did not kill people for 8 years. And even before that, it was about 10 years in general. But here we go. Starting with Brandon Bernard on International Human Rights Day and ending with Dustin Higgs on January 15, Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. 4 of the people set to die are Black men, and the other is Lisa Montgomery, a severely mentally ill white woman who faced a lifetime of sexual abuse and would be the first woman executed in nearly 70 years. So let's just go to
the video. No.
I'm Amy Goodman. As we look further at the unprecedented 5 federal executions President Trump's Justice Department is scheduled before Inauguration Day. On December 10th, that's International Human Rights Day, the federal government plans to kill a 40-year-old black man named Brandon Bernard. He was 18 years old when he was allegedly an accomplice to a murder of a young white couple. During his trial, his attorneys did not make opening statements. At the penalty stage, they called no witnesses. Out of the 12 jurors, all but 1 was white. Now 5 of the jurors say they think Bernard should not be executed. A former assistant U.S. attorney who helped secure his death sentence wrote in the Indianapolis Star, quote, "Executing Brandon would be a terrible stain on the nation's honor." That's one of the prosecutors who prosecuted him. And the day after, Bernard is set to die. Alfred Bourgeois, another black man, is scheduled to be federally executed December 11th. As we reported January 12th, Lisa Montgomery is scheduled to be the first woman executed by the federal government in nearly 70 years. The Trump administration has rejected her request for a reprieve. On January 14th, Corey Johnson, another black man, is set to be put to death. According to Johnson's attorneys, he has an IQ of 69, which means he's below the standard the Supreme Court used to determine if an execution would be cruel and unusual punishment. And on January 15th, Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, the federal government's expected to execute Dustin Higgs, another black man who was sentenced to die for his role in the murder of 3 women, even though he did not kill them, under the so-called law of parties theory.
Wow.
So there's multiple things to unpack under there. Those are all reasonable reasons not to execute. Those are like, it is him breaking every standard of what we believe is normal and compassionate. Like, you don't execute somebody who doesn't have an IQ above 70. We've already, this has been under Supreme Court, and unfortunately he's just going to do it. And it's not like he's going to be brought to court for it. So, you know, it's all these small things that, like, we're going to have the first president who now in a lame duck session starts executing people and doing criminal punishment, doing capital punishment upon its citizens again. When we've already kind of said that it is a cruel and unusual punishment for the most part on a federal level. So he's changing a norm. And I think it's very relevant that, as much as I don't want to talk about Trump, I think that the norms that he has changed are important to discuss.
His base loves it. His base loves seeing things like this. This is the type of stuff that they drool over. That's just my opinion. I you know, it's crazy. His base believes so much in religion and so on and so forth, but then also when it comes to law and order, they feel like, you know, oh, if a person did this, they deserve the harshest, you know, penalties for it, or, you know, punishment for it. And I don't know, man. To me, it's crazy. A lot of the stuff that he does is crazy. I think he's doing this because he's planning on leaving. He wants a reputation that his followers like, so that because he's supposedly going to come back at 2024 or whatever. He's supposed to try to, you know, if supposedly his election fraud things don't work out, he's going to come back in 2024. He wants his base to still love him and still think about him. He's keeping the attention on him. That's what it all is, you know. Like we're going to talk about later about the whole military thing and the 230 section 230 thing. All of that stuff is. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
No, please finish.
I just think that all this is for attention. He's doing a lot of this stuff, like, it doesn't affect him. It's stuff that his base likes. It's, you know, I can understand like why people want to punish people that were involved in crimes, but if they weren't the direct reasons for a death, or like you said, or like they said, actually, the person's IQ was low, or the person didn't do it, and would, you know, that what was it, that parties, what was it called, the parties, guilty by parties or whatever it is, they said something.
It's actually a theory so guilty by party. So basically, he was an accomplice to murder. So
yeah, he was there. He was an accomplice basically. So he didn't pull the trigger or kill the people, but he's going to be sentenced to death for it. You know, like,
yes,
you know, and at the end of the day, it's like, and the people that were involved, like the jurors or whatever, say that he shouldn't be, but that he's going against that. That's sick, man. You know, like that. I don't know.
It's actually a breakdown in the system. This is where criminal justice reform actually is necessary, where there is a separation in what the will of the jury is, because with the way that we deem people innocent or guilty is literally, if it's a certain type of trial, a criminal trial, you have to be convicted beyond a reasonable doubt. And that also means that when that reasonable doubt threshold has been passed, oftentimes that is an instant conviction.
Yep.
most times if somebody, for instance, in the first, I forgot his name, unfortunately, but it's important, so let me just make sure I have his name here. That's what I get for closing tabs, guys.
God help us, man. I feel like Trump is taking us back in time to like
There we go.
the Twilight Zone, whenever that was. I feel like we're in the Twilight Zone with his decision making and everything. It's like I remember back in the days I would hear stories about things happening to people of different races in jail, all this, and I'm like, this is so unfair, and this makes absolutely no, it's barbaric, you know what I mean? And I don't know, man. It's scary
Yes,
times, man.
to speak on it directly, it is Brandon Bernard, and what happened is that in the opening of his actual, he did not get an opening for his trial, and they did not give him a proper closing to his trial, and that's his own defense attorney. And to this point, he is deemed most likely either innocent or not guilty of the charges that were given to him, the homicide charges that were given to him. So what are you going to do now? Because this is not a compassionate leader. This is not somebody who is looking to give anybody a pardon that is actually, or not even a pardon. You would just give them, I forgot what the word is, but you would basically commit this to a later time so that you would probably never execute the person.
This guy's gonna murder people. Trump's gonna allow people to murder people for things that they shouldn't be, put to death for. And yet he's gonna pardon all these other people. He's got controversies
Yes.
about pardons now, yet he's doing this crap. You know what I mean? It's like his whole thing. It kills me because you think to yourself, like, why doesn't his base see this like as being abnormal? Like, this is abnormal. Maybe because it's not going to directly affect them, and they might not ever find themselves in that position. But it's just the fact that
That's exactly it, and that's the us versus them issue that you are trying to talk about. Even like I don't know how much of them just dig in the red meat so much that they will never be able to come back from it. But the truth is that yes, there's a considerable part of this country that really loves to see people suffer for their mistakes. And that's a hard reality that we need to educate people out of. In a way, it's sociology. Like I don't, you brought it up last week with war in different countries, being that war is seen in different countries as just a norm. In some ways, we see like gun violence, and we see sometimes abuse as norms, and we haven't gotten out of that, and that spreads to
we think a lot of stuff is normal here. Not being provided health care is normal. You know what I mean? Like in this country, which is crazy. Everything that like a lot of other, well, not everything, but a big percentage of the stuff that we find normal here is abnormal in a lot of countries. Having guns, like there's a lot of countries that don't want their citizens to have guns walking around doing God knows what with them. They don't want to have their citizens getting sick and not being provided health care, to not have, enough of a living wage to survive. It's crazy what this country allows. And the fact that the people here actually are like cool with it. I mean, a big percentage of them are, they're like, well, that's just how it is. And this is how it's supposed to be. And you got to earn it. And you got to do this. And I'm like, okay, but you pay taxes. Where did our taxes go with the stimulus? I didn't get any money from the stimulus. Teresa did, and some of the other people that I know did, but I didn't. I'm self-employed, and I didn't request any money from it. And but I see a lot what it's done, because like it just, to me, like I have a lot of like issues that I have to deal with financially, and I don't want to complicate them any more than they already are. You know what I mean? And especially like, tax issues basically that I have to resolve a little here and there. And so I don't want to like get money from the government and then go back there. Oh, well, why did you take this if you know you owed this or you did this or did that? So until I get my own personal issues resolved, I'm not going to put myself in another predicament where they could be like, well, you did some fraudulent thing or you did this and did that. So I'm like, all right, if it's owed to me down the line, maybe I can get it. If not, It didn't make or break me. $1,200 doesn't make or break anybody. To be honest with you, what did it do for anybody? If you were to average out the $1,200 for the amount of time that it took from then to now, how much money is that worth? That's less than $3 a day, right? It's like what, $2 a day from this point on now. At this point, because they
I
gave
mean,
it.
at this point, yes. At this point, yes. It has run its course at this point, which is unfortunate. I
Like, what
know
do you?
that it helped me, but it helped me specifically when I didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah,
And I think that now we're in a road where we, for the most part, we have an idea that this is going to either you believe it or not, but there's going to be a real second large wave here happening. If it's not a, if you want to call it a third wave, you can, but it's a second wave really, and it's going to happen, and we're still going to be closed for a while.
and they're
We're
calling it
not going to
normal.
like.
They're calling. What's
We're
crazy
gonna
is
have to
that
call it. We're gonna kind of call it normal. Yeah.
they're calling it normal. I was watching something again today where it was saying like, in this country, they're cool with knowing that it's going to be double or triple the amount of people getting sick, and yet they want people to go back to work and act like life is normal. That's not cool, man. They compare this to Australia. I was watching Secular Talk, and with Kyle Kalinske, great show, in my perspective, but whatever. He was basically saying that in Australia they have zero COVID cases, or was something like zero COVID cases, either today or the last couple days or whatever it is. While we're like on the hundreds of thousands. What is it? What did they say? It's like 100,000 a day or something. Like some crazy amount. Um,
So I want to tell you. So that's 100% true, and
mm,
almost we should talk about the. We should move to the COVID stuff that we have because
yeah,
Australia does come up here. Actually, this is one of the impacts that I wanted to talk to with our guest.
yeah,
Um, though it's only an indicator for us because it is another country.
mm,
Obviously, there's going to be differences between Australia, the United States, the UK, etc.
yeah,
But they are all major countries that have the same, um, pretty much.
hmm,
Oh yeah, perfect, great. So if you look at this article, it's interesting because the graphs at the that are at the bottom are the more interesting part. The employment fall and recovery since March. So look, if you look in here, you see the change in uh, basically it's underutilization, so it's underemployment. So
hmm,
basically, it's a way of saying underemployment. And if you look at it, it's specifically in this one, it shows that 25 to 34-year-old men, every single group of men, it's up significantly. And what's interesting is that if you go lower on the article, you'll actually see that women are actually the ones that are being suffering from unemployment and like a fall in and recovery from unemployment faster. So basically, you're going to see the women had the first loss of jobs, had the
hmm,
heaviest loss of jobs first, and then they are slightly recovering, it seems, in the outset. But at the same time, it's showing that the unequal markers that happen because of COVID, and that you can't escape that there is a loss of jobs in these areas. These are recession numbers. I apologize for not stating these.
yeah,
So if you actually go back to the previous graph, you can see the unemployment numbers as well, and that shows a significant showing
excuse me. Sorry.
of women. I understand that the men 25 to 34 who aren't specialized, and this
Hmm,
is an interesting discussion that I really wanted to have, is that older people that are older are working,
yep,
and they're still working to this day in a lot of these countries, and in the US especially, and almost to their detriment. Like there should be younger people who are doing these unfortunately painful jobs, but 20 it as it shows here, 25 to 34 seems to be hit very heavily, and as well as women 35 to 44, which I just thought was an interesting throw, that like there's such a gap between these two groups.
yep,
Like yes, the 3 percentage points versus 1 percentage point is actually a huge difference.
yep, yep, yep. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. Like, it breaks my heart to see everybody suffering, man. And the government, like, we elect these people, they elect their people, and everybody's suffering, man. And I think this country's got it worse. We decided to elect an idiot, right, and let him control what's going on. He's firing and hiring all the worst people. He's firing the best people, hiring the worst people, and it's just making it worse for us. Are you done with this clip before
Yeah,
you want? All
you're
right.
good.
Yeah. So and like you see how the other countries are handling it. Yes, in some cases they're worse, and in some cases they're better. But I feel like I just can't wait. Like I can't wait till Biden comes in. I'm not saying he's going to be the solution to all of our problems, but at least he'll have some competent people there, and he'll have his ear open a little bit more, and not be such a narcissist in regards to making decisions. Like he's going to do what it takes to make his legacy better. Trump was just thinking of himself, thinking that he knew all the answers and would do things the way he wanted to, and he's just, I don't know, it's crazy.
I
It's
mean, look, he's just not an honest actor. I
not at
think that
all.
we have to understand that, like,
Yeah.
from a interpersonal level, we have to start to understand he's just not an honest actor, especially the people who I think are in the left side of the spectrum and they feel some way about it.
Yeah.
Um, he It'll never make you feel, he'll never care how you feel about it. So stop caring. Like, you have to stop caring in a way. And I
Yeah.
don't mean that from like don't care about the impact, but I mean you have to stop caring about the everyday grind of him, because yes, it will end. It may not end now because he might still blather on
Who
for
you're
years.
talking about? Trump? He's definitely going to.
Trump,
Yeah,
yeah,
they said something. There was an article talking about how Fox News was offering him money so that he could be a host, and they're kind of afraid that if he starts his own network, that it's going to interfere with their stuff, because he's already tarnished Fox's name, because Fox has agreed to agree with the fact that he didn't win the election. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. This dude's crazy, man. Like he's capable of anything. And like we talked about last episode about the whole Israeli thing, and with the assassination and everything. I don't know what this guy's got planned for the next couple of weeks, several weeks that he's here, and he's very unpredictable, man. I don't know.
which is the real defining part of this, is that he is just way too unpredictable as a person.
Yeah. I mean, he's
We're definitely going to
predictable.
talk.
He's
Go ahead.
predictable in the sense that he's going to make the worst decision out of all the decisions he has options with. That's the only thing he's predictable with. The only thing is we never know what that option's going to be. You know what I mean? That's like he's such a buffoon. Like if I put like options on the table and said this is 1, 2, and 3, and 3 is the worst, he's going to pick 3 or maybe 2 if 2 is the second worst. He's not going to pick the most common sense righteous thing to do. He's going to pick whatever suits his needs or whatever he feels is going to be whatever. And that's what's scary. But because we don't know anything about what's going on behind the scenes, it's even scarier because us as citizens, we're hoping that he's making decent decisions. Like he's got the nuclear football, you know what I mean? So it's like, please God, let him get out of office without him using it. You know what I mean? It's a scary thought to think that a man with his mentality can start a war. He even said something about like they were trying to set up things where they can unilaterally start things without going through Congress. Even though they said that that's not going to happen, he's been trying to do things where he could do whatever it is he wants to do without having
He's
to go.
stating that his executive power has the initiative to basically start a war, which is the manuscript that basically allowed George W. Bush to go to war.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's using a precedent that exists, unfortunately, and he's wielding it. He's wielding it like a sword.
Yep. Which is scary, man. It's like
which actually,
Bozo the clown with a nuke. That's basically what that is, man. Oh my God.
We should head to Trump vowing to veto this defense bill, because that's another shot in the what the hell are you doing? Like, I honestly don't know where his mindset is. He's basically President Trump is threatening to veto a critical defense spending bill unless Congress agrees to repeal a liability shield for social media companies. The president tweeted last Tuesday that Section 230 of the 1996 Communications Decency Act is a serious threat to our national security and election integrity. Section 230 provides legal protection for technology companies over content from third parties and users. So that's you and me. That's basically saying us, the people who post on a website. So that could be further than just social media. That can be just a media site. That's very important to note.
Yep.
Trump referred to the provision as a liability shielding gift to big tech. So this is just a framing that he's giving you, that you have to understand that it's a framing. If he doesn't get it his way, Trump is threatening to nix his year's National Defense Authorization Act, a crucial piece of annual legislation that covers authorization for pay raises and other spending needs for the nation's military. So I immediately would say that I am not for increased military spending, but it's also an omnibus bill that comes in every year and has for 60 years. So it is more just you breaking a norm.
Yeah.
And the fact that he tweeted about it, I'm not sure if you had the tweet up as well.
Yeah. I'll turn it back. My bad.
No. But it's important to note that like he's insane enough to tweet it, that Section 230, which is a liability shielding gift for the U.S. to big tech, the only companies in America that have it, corporate welfare, which is not true already, is a serious threat to our national security and election integrity. You don't put this as a statement. You put this as a document that you write later. Yeah. If you were a honest actor, if you are a real president who is really trying to say, for instance, that maybe Section 30 shouldn't shield them from all of the things, it can have changes in the document so that so that they have some liability for some of it, but that they don't have liability for every person's what they drop on the internet. And that's really what's happening.
So basically it's like they're using the thing as a publisher, saying like, well, we're publishers of other people's content. Like other people are responsible for whatever that they're doing. This is from my perspective what I think the whole thing is with Section 230. They're saying that they're not responsible for what the people publish on our site. They can somewhat dictate like, YouTube and all these other places, what's appropriate and what's not appropriate because it's their site. But then at the same time, they don't want to be held liable for whatever we say. Like, let's say we can't stand Trump, right? They don't want to be, if they at some point down the line that's considered a bad thing, they don't want to be held liable or get sued or get punished for what we're saying, which I think is honestly, as a business, it's a smart thing to do on their side. I think what's crazy about this is like we're getting
it's a liability of free speech too. I mean, this is free speech argument.
But let me explain what I was going to say. Either way you look at it, us as the people that are putting stuff up are screwed. We're getting screwed by YouTube and Facebook and all this other stuff because of their restrictions, even though we're supposed to be able to say whatever we want in this world and so on and so we're on their platform, so they could stop us at any point if they feel something's inappropriate, which is a form of censorship. Now, if he does this type of stuff, I feel like it could also censor us on the other side. And actually, does it? Because if they were to get rid of this, they're saying that basically anybody could say anything, right? So then is that what that would resolve? Because
the resulting issue here is that if you take away that clause, most likely the companies would need to clamp down further. They would need to then go out of their way and ban anybody who has ever said anything that is obscene or at all, like that somebody defines as obscene or wrong.
I thought the purpose of him trying to get rid of this was for they said he was pissed off because he got shut down on Twitter. So I thought the purpose of this, from what I was interpreting it as, was to allow people to say whatever they wanted to say, and like the businesses Like he's basically punishing the businesses, not the people, right? Is that what he's trying
But
to
that's
do?
what it is. It's more of it's a punishment. It's less of a like this. He's not coming from a intelligent standpoint. He's not seeing the long term effects of like
Yeah.
if you want to change the act so that they have some liability, that's might make sense now, especially when there are large media companies that have control of the audience. But what he
Mm.
was mad about is that he believes Facebook and Twitter are actually censoring Republicans.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he wants to basically he wants to basically just punish these companies into either allowing everything and then having basically full on fights with the courts when there's a problem with their content. And honestly, that it would turn into a melee basically. And that's why nobody wants to change the law how it stands.
If they
Not even
now,
the right wing wants to
if
change this.
if they allow everything, wouldn't that just create a lot of noise on the internet? Meaning, like,
Yes.
nothing. You
It
won't
would
know what's true and what isn't true at this point. Everybody will start lawsuits and all this other stuff, creating conflicts
yes.
amongst people. So yeah, and he
So
likes
and
that
then it
because
would
he could.
cause the companies that are big would be able to handle that, and the companies that are small or mid would never be able to handle that. You'd see the end of Tumblr. You'd see the end of Twitter would survive, but they would just basically clamp down on all the people who are on their site. Like there, it's just like these small moves to. You're correct. Punish the companies.
Yeah. So
And
like
then
I look.
you would have OAN, and that's the thing. They want Fox News and OAN and to be the real juncture for that group of people. So they don't give a shit. They just want their people to then have some power in that
It's crazy
situation.
because I could see like censorship on both ends. Like right now, I feel like I'm being censored, and then I feel like if they get rid of it, I'll be even more censored. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know. There's like let's just create more organized chaos. It's like
Yes.
oh my god, oh my god, this guy's crazy. And then
And
he's
it's
gonna what from what I was watching on because I like watching a lot of news. From what I was saying is chances are he's probably not going to be able to do it. Like they're going to call him on it. From hopefully they'll call him on it. Hopefully the Democrats don't like fall in line and say okay yeah we'll get rid of 230 or whatever it is. Because in reality, if he does that, his base is going to be pissed if he doesn't fund the military. So
yes.
I can't see it happening, and a lot of
Yes.
people talking about it feel like they should just call his bluff. I hope they do, but I don't trust the Democrats either, man. They're all crazy, man. Like they're all. We need term limits. We need to get rid of a lot of the people that are there. It seems like they do things for people's best interests, and at the end of the day, you see over time that they really didn't do what they said they were going to do. Like we spoke earlier, they when Obama was elected, he was talking all this progressive type of stuff. Oh yeah, we're going to do this, and it didn't work out. You know what I mean? And now they still talk that way. Every time I get on the news, listen to the news, I hear that where he's going to be the most progressive president, since God knows who. And I'm like, okay, I don't believe that with Biden. And the people that he's bringing in has proven me otherwise. Even Trump ran on that. He was saying, "Oh, everybody's going to get health care and everybody's going to do this," and then he started doing things that are pulling people out of healthcare. With pre-existing conditions and all this other crazy crap, trying to get rid of Obamacare, and they're all full of crap, man. And this is just another sign of it. They just want organized chaos so that they can kind of navigate through it and get power, and it's scary that a lot of people don't see that happening. They're utilizing this so that when like he wants to start his own news network or be at least part of a news network where he can start spewing his propaganda, and he wants the oceans that he has to travel to be calm for his garbage. You know what I mean? Like basically he wants to set the trail that he's going on in a way for him to benefit from it before he gets out of office. So he's doing the things with his pardons and everything else to make him a certain type of person so that when he leaves, he can keep the propaganda machine going and his popularity with his base going so that hopefully by 2024 or whoever he decides to back then, he'll he'll, have the people's focus on him and his cause, and it's scary, man. I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but I just feel
Well,
like,
to me, this just goes back to the strongman argument that I brought up either it was last week, I believe. But there's a lot of these strongmen happening. I mean, we're going to talk about Modi a little bit here in a minute. So, basically, I think that this is just a tactic that's happening across the globe. I think that's the one thing that I would like to focus on, is that
right,
this is happening across the globe right now. It just is so easy because Trump is such a buffoon that it takes up so much space.
yeah,
And we need to not concentrate on it being the only thing. Like, we're gonna like I would like to jump to another strongman right now, which is Modi in India, and having a 250 million people participate in a countrywide strike in India. Despite police repression and the COVID-19 pandemic, workers and farmers and their allies across India participated in the Pan-India strike action against the recent neoliberal reforms pushed through by Narendra Modi's government. Thursday, November 26, India witnessed the biggest organized strike in human history. Over 250 million workers and farmers, along with their allies among students, feminists, and civil society groups, participated in the nationwide strike. The strike coincides with India's Constitution Day, which commemorates the adoption of the Constitution in 1949, and comes in the background of an unprecedented attack on workers' rights and farmers' protections by the right-wing government of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So they say right-wing, and it's kind of neoliberal. What's actually happening? I'm going to explain exactly what's happening. It has to do with agricultural and grain prices. But the
mhm,
strike was organized by a coalition of workers and farmers movements with 10 national trade confederations and umbrella groups. So women's rights groups, student unions, and various society organizations also participated in this strike. And they basically blocked off roads to Delhi, which is the most relevant part. They basically just cut off the roads in a lot of places. And you can see here in the picture, they have water cannons going at them. Um, they're basically really trying to separate to set that the grain prices that are happening right now, they're trying to stop privatization. It's hard to talk about, but they do not want a non-socialist government. It seems like there is a fight happening right now in India between having a semi-socialized government where the grain prices were settled at a certain rate, and then now being able to just sell that to whoever, which means that most likely privatization is just going to come in and overrun them. And they believe that, and I believe as well, but they believe that Modi is basically kneeling to corporate companies that are coming in and trying to find a way to bring in that money, basically.
yeah, yeah. That's happening everywhere, like you said earlier, right? That's happening here. It's happening everywhere. It's just worse,
Yeah, I mean,
when the economy, like, at least, there's some countries that have, like, in regards to the amount of money like we make as individuals. I think I'm okay. You know what I mean? I'm not rich, I'm not poor, you know, but then you have a lot of countries that are suffering way worse than we are, and then they have to still deal with privatization, like, where things are just going to raise prices and make it harder for them. Like, that privatizing stuff in India is not going to make it easier for these people. And that's scary, man. I don't know, man. Like, and this is a sign. If you have 250, was it 250 million people, you said? Yeah, 250
yes,
million people.
yes, that many people were
That's a
involved
lot
with
of
this.
people. There's a lot of people that are upset, in regards to this, and you would think the government would acknowledge that, but, I guess they want to just blast them with water cannons, right? Like, down, get down, listen, obey.
It's a
Listen.
very, I hate to say it, it's a very Americanization of how to deal with things now, is to deal with it with maybe it's not American, maybe this is a warfare tactic, And maybe that's more important, that it's actually a warfare tactic to just blast people with cannons, make sure that they kneel as much as possible, because it's a lot of farmers groups. I mean, you can't ignore this group of people, but at the same time, they don't want to incite heavy violence yet. That would cause such a debacle that sooner or later that would kick Modi out of office. He's fairly popular. I mean, it's important to know that in these countries, even all of these strongmen are really popular. Um,
I don't
you know,
understand.
Bolsonaro is still 60% in most of these areas.
I don't understand like why people can't. I don't know, man. It's depressing
It's
seeing this, man.
complicated. That's why
It's,
I mean, I talk about these international issues because I feel like most of the times when we're listening to a lot of these podcasts and stuff that we listen to, we end up on national news all day long. And
yep.
yeah, we could talk about
No, I
how
like it.
annoying it is.
I think we need to do it. I think everybody, like we spoke about it before. We wanted to talk to people from different cities and states or whatever, to kind of get like different perspectives of what's going on in our country. It's the same thing with the world. You know, there's certain things we all can relate to, and to see what they're going through and the cause and effects of what they're doing. uh, we can kind of relate it here. I think we have farmers here as well. You know, if we're seeing what's happening there, we can kind of say, well, look at what's happening here, and decide whether or not we're being treated fair or not. You know, or if they're being treated fair or not in comparison to how we're being treated. You know, you got to have a compare and contrast point. You know what I mean? For you
Mhm.
to determine what's going on. And when I see 250 million people upset about something, there's something obviously wrong. It's not like 10, 12 people, you know, a dozen people or whatever it is complaining about something. It's 250 million people. That's huge. And I don't know, man. It's sick, man. It's all about power, man. At the end of the day, the people in power, and I'm not trying to say it's an easy job to do what you got to do, and you got to make some really harsh decisions, and a lot of people have to suffer during those harsh decisions. But this is bad, man, and what's happening in this country is horrible. You know, they've screwed over our farmers here too. You know, they screwed over our workers. They got people working through COVID and acting as if like COVID is nothing here. You got all these people, 250,000 people, 250 million. I'm sorry, people out here
Yeah, 50
protesting
million.
during COVID. Like this is not going to help them either. I'm sure these people are getting sick in the process of doing this as well. So, like, I don't know, man. Like they say, religion in general is supposed to be there for people. If I know, like each religion has their form of belief of to treat each other fairly and to love each other and help each other. The government obviously they say separate religion and politics and so on and so forth. That's obviously true because they obviously don't care that these people are going through this. Because if they had any type of religious sense, I'm not saying I want religion and politics, but you would think that they talk all about praise God, praise this, God bless you during their speeches and so on. God bless America, God bless whatever country they're in. But then they don't show their concern or compassion towards
That's
their
action versus rhetoric. I mean,
yeah
that's what that really is. I mean, you
yeah
can say a lot of things about religion, but religion either has action or it has rhetoric.
you,
And
you, yeah
like I don't even want to say religion has action. I think that religion in itself is rhetoric.
yep
What it is that you can have people who are spiritual beings and able to do spiritual actions for other people and really be there for other people.
yep
And I think that's what we sometimes call religion, but I think that that is actually separate. I actually think that the rhetoric is the religion part, and the
yeah
rest is about personal interactions and understanding how to deal with people, talk to people, make other people's lives better. And
yeah
if that is what you're going for, that is kind of, it's lumped into religion in some ways. It's something that you've learned from some of these lessons. I would say that, but it's not necessarily this. It's not the same. They're not aligned. You can learn these things without having religion there.
yeah
So it's that's why spirituality is like what I like to call it,
yeah
because
yeah.
I feel like they can be separated.
Do you see though how crazy it is? Like these people are suffering, and
Oh
who
yeah,
wants to get
absolutely.
hosed down by a water cannon, man? That
Oh
would
yeah,
just
I mean,
enrage me even more. I'm like, how in
I
the
mean,
hell?
this is happening actually across the globe. It's happening in China where they're getting cannoned with basically like slick. It's not like oil per se, but it's like a paint. So basically, that you get tagged later, so
So
that
they know
the
that you were
police.
involved with something. Yep, yep, yep.
Yep.
That's crazy. So why you getting you for pro? They, even in this country, they're talking about protesters being and it's funny because it's usually what is it conservatives complaining about people protesting, but now all of a sudden they're protesting about Trump and it's okay. There's, unless it
Oh yeah.
suits their needs, it's funny, man. It's hilarious. It's I
Protest
mean,
protest is inconvenient until it's convenient for you.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. Have they said anything about people getting killed during the? Because I didn't read much about this. Did
No,
anybody
I think
during?
that they said that this was relatively non-violent when I looked into the article. So that's good. That's
Yeah.
generally this is like a real general strike. So this almost like is an incentive for us to start trying to do these as real general strikes. And I get it. We don't want to do there's multiple reasons. Like America, like they shouldn't be so close together. Like COVID is a problem right now, and the idea of doing this is going to cause some problems. And but we need to have people go out on the streets and literally say we can't have this. But it's not the right time right now in America.
Look at
I
all
have
these.
to understand.
Look at all
Yeah,
these people without masks, man.
yeah.
Like here they have them.
So it's just not the time in America for this, unfortunately. And I only say that because we can't go out in the streets like this and have a general strike. There's so many people who are unemployed that we can have like Black Lives Matters movements, which are more targeted, but we don't have anything to target other than that right now. Like right now, we're all in a hope cycle about Biden. That's what we're trying to do
Yeah.
as a people. Even if you're a Democrat and you're super leftist and you're not happy about Biden being your president, but you think that there's a better chance of your goals happening now than you did when Trump was in office or
Yeah.
would have been in office. That's just the truth.
What suck?
I am afraid of war. I'm very much afraid of more
Yeah.
warfare.
Yeah, what scares me right now is the fact that we couldn't strike if we wanted to, because majority of the people that are working are essential workers, things that we need
Yes.
in order for things to keep going. Walmart, what is it, Amazon? I mean, I'm not proud of them making all the money or whatever, but they're the ones keep, places like ShopRite and supermarkets or whatever. If they did a strike, it would screw the people that are not working over, that need their food and so on and so forth. Just in general, it's essential workers. So like, yeah, we would screw over a couple companies that are monopolizing everything anyway, and it would probably get a point across. But then you're also going to put a lot of people's lives and other things in jeopardy. Like, maybe a 1 day strike might be okay, but even that, it's like, how long can you hold that? You can't keep it.
It's a bit performative at that point. It's a little bit performative,
Yep.
and I think that you can do these strikes in groups, like groups of things that make sense. But I don't know right now
It
what
wouldn't be
those
effective.
keyholes are.
Yeah.
Amazon is like one of those ones you want to strike, but you can't because right now everybody's getting their packages. Everybody's getting their packages. That hustle is something that is very hard for us to turn down either way, because taking that 1 day away is just going to get people fired more
Yep.
than it's going to stop them from grinding
Yep. Yep.
grinding the mill with them.
Yep. 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 That's a shame, man. It's like they grab. It's
Very
crazy,
hard. I
man.
feel like we're not in a very hopeful place, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's why we voted in Biden, right? If they
Yeah,
felt like, if we were in a position where it was Biden was the current president, or somebody else was the current president that had some kind of normal sense, and we were in this position, then we might have went with somebody with like Bernie, because Bernie would have been like, okay, well, we had somebody that was, like we have a buffoon right now, so people were willing to settle. People didn't want to go too far left, right? Because they were afraid that if we went too far left, we'd go even more bankrupt than we currently are, right? So they're like, let's go to Biden. We know that Biden's like Obama, and Obama was okay, right? We did all right with Obama, right? But now they also realize, like, a lot of people don't have health care. A lot of people are in financial issues, having financial issues and not getting paid or whatever. Bernie would have done something about it. I'm not saying Bernie's perfect, because like I hear stories about things about Bernie and how he was during
I care
his
more about his campaign and like his own personal, the
yeah,
way he is, but I don't see it's not policy.
yeah,
Honestly,
yeah,
that's the thing that always rejects me from all of that talk.
yeah, yeah,
Um, yeah, you could have. I think that you could say that his campaign did not run that well enough. They did not
yeah,
run their campaign well enough. End of story.
yeah.
I don't think that has to do with the ground movement, and I think there are legitimate people who are in the movement who have said stuff that they know that he's a little cantankerous.
Mm.
He wants certain things certain ways. Also, he is probably not as good with knowing what can happen in his time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think that all the things that he proposed that can happen all at the same time. But I don't think that it would have been. I think that he walked that line fine enough. It just wasn't a good enough
Even if he
campaign.
even if he won in the current condition of, like, we lost seats in the in Congress, and
Congress, yeah.
we might not get sent the Senate, so it wouldn't have mattered. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, like, if
Yes.
we would lose both of those, plus the judges, the Supreme Court, but like, we really don't have much, even if we had Bernie, which sucks. We just gotta
Yep.
hope that in the next 4 years, somebody with some potential to do something like that can. But it's crazy, bro. It's
And
crazy.
honestly, we don't have anybody in the lineup that is like that next star. We're gonna go into another election cycle next time with the same kind of problem that we had this time.
You think
Like the
so?
same 16, yeah, the same, like having 13 people up at debating. I think that's what's going to happen again in 2020, or 2019 even. You know what I'm saying, that like we're because he's only going to run for one. He's only going to be in there for one term.
You think they planned that out the way they did, like from the get go?
I don't
From
think they
like,
planned anything. I don't know. You know what? Anything is possible, right? But I don't think they really planned out anything. They just decided. Joe Biden was like, I can beat this guy. I can beat this guy.
well, look at all these Democrats, like Cory Booker, all these other, like, why did so many people decide to go crazy and decide, like, why complicate things? You know what I mean? Like, why did they have to be like a million candidates? People trying to run in the primaries. Like, that's I
A
don't
lot of
understand
ego. I
that.
mean, you have to have an ego to run for president.
But I feel
You have
like
to
they
have an
did.
ego.
They knew Bernie was gonna, or somebody progressive was gonna go run, like him or Warren, and then it just seems like all these other random people decide, well, let's just flood it so we can complicate things and split the vote. I feel like they purposely split the vote on purpose, and that they kind of knew it was gonna be somebody like Biden, or even the other candidates like Buttigieg, um, and
See, that's my biggest fear is Buttigieg, because I know people who really like Buttigieg, and I dislike him greatly, and I just think that he's an empty vessel, and that's the real reason. He is my what would I call him? Edwards. I forgot his first name, but Edwards. He was the candidate. He was almost the candidate in 2004,
yeah.
um, and he's just this way that he talks that I'm trying to be kind of like Obama, but I'm
Oh, he was
making sure
super
that you know
fake.
that I'm white.
He was super fake. This dude, Buttigieg, man. Like, he started
Just
talking about how
doesn't.
much he was like, oh, I really, respect Bernie and blah 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 blah, and then like he crapped on Bernie during the primaries. I'm like, these people are full of crap. They're doing whatever's to their best interest, and I understand you're trying to win. I
That's
get it.
politics, though. That's
Yeah,
that's politics.
yeah, but I don't
You
think
know,
I don't know, man. I don't know. Like,
I
me
I, I
personally,
don't
if I was,
expect anybody who's. I actually think that Sanders put on too soft of gloves.
it
Like
was
he should have
super
gone after
soft. super
Yeah.
soft. Yeah, he had cotton candy gloves. You know what I mean? Like the dude was super soft. He was, oh, my friend Joe. I'm like, well, for your friend. I'm like, come on, man. If you know his policies aren't for the people, like at the end of the day, like if I was running for president, I would stick to my guns. Whether or not I make it, it is what it is at the end of the day, right? It's like, you know what you want out of it. You're not gonna back down on what it is that you want, and that's that. You're not gonna compromise. You can't compromise because you see what compromise has done when you have the Democrats and the Republicans. We've compromised with them all the time, and the Republicans have never compromised. When progressives try to compromise the Democrats never compromised. The progressives are the only ones that are compromising. I don't understand why. To me, in my mind, it's like they're all willing to settle. Look at what Warren did. They all bent the knee. You know what I mean? Which to me, it's like that's crazy, bro. I don't agree with it. If it's for the sake of the people, and you know that you have the best interest, you
But
know.
see, I would like to say that some of them are I believe are true believers in whatever causes that they're doing. So I believe that Elizabeth Warren believed that she was doing the right thing. She thought that by unifying the party at the end of that was the way to do it. I disagree with her
I can't
wholeheartedly.
stand her. I'm sorry, bro. I can't stand her. She has proven to me that she's like super shady, and like I know a lot of people are like, oh, the whole thing about Bernie being this and being that or whatever, and her calling him out on whatever. Okay, if he did it, I understand why she was pissed. But I feel like she did that politically to try to like get herself a foothold on whatever it is or whatever the term is.
Yes, just to get I mean, look, that's what I mean. That's what I'm politic. I never think more of these people. I never put a hero cape on any of these people just because I believe that politicians will politic. And she used her weapon. I think I I believe that there was probably a miscommunication. Like I understand why but she brought it up at a weird time to try to gain points, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
And if you want to even just talk about it plainly, it just didn't work.
But I don't understand what that is. Is like, why would he suggest her to run? Like, tell her you should run, right? This is before he ran. He said you should run. Why would he do that and then say something like, "I don't think you can win"? You know what I mean? Like make a sexist statement. I mean, he might have said it in a sense of like in the current environment, like with the current environment, the way things are looking, it's not looking good. But I don't think he meant like you shouldn't run because you're a woman. You know what I mean, or something like that. Like I don't believe that.
And
It's
she's
hard for
also
me to believe.
allowed to take it. She's allowed to take it take it as poorly. She's allowed to take it poorly.
Yeah.
She that wasn't the point. Honestly, what got to me was that it was what was the point of that? To try to prove that he is misogynistic is the point of the argument. He either made one poor choice of wording,
Yeah.
or he told you to run before. And I
Yeah.
honestly think she should have run against Hillary Clinton. I honestly believe that. I think that Sanders was what we just wanted because it is our perception of what progressivism is. But Warren at 2016 would have been the perfect person to come in and go against Hillary Clinton, because then you could not have these discussions about, is it a problem with a woman being in office? It would be literally a policy problem difference between the two of them.
Yep.
I think she's just burnt her political capital,
Yep.
unfortunately. And
She's.
I
Yeah,
don't have as much raw feelings as other people do. You have raw feelings about
oh, I
Elizabeth
can't.
Warren.
I don't like. I don't like. She's when she supported Hillary over Bernie, that bothered me. You know what I mean? Because if you're a progressive, why are you're just going with whoever who may or may not win at the end of the day? Like, you're doing whatever it is for you that suits your own purpose. Like, I think a lot of her decisions was for her, basically, like for her to get in a position where she could have more power. And I get it. You have to do what you got to do in order to get your policies done. Just sort of like with the squad or whatever, the Justice Democrats and everything else. They're doing what they got to do to gradually get themselves in a position so that they can, make change. and it's moving slowly. It's going to take some time before enough progressives get in there to do any significant change. But I think Elizabeth Warren is for self, and a lot of people don't see that, but that's what I'm seeing. What she did with Bernie in the last primary, and what she did with the thing with Hillary, and over time, all the different steps that the chess moves that she's made, has made me feel like, she's very, very out for self. Maybe she has some things that are good for the country, which is great, but then when it comes down to what's important for her political future, is she going to choose that over the people? Like, she's proven to me that
I mean, it won't matter anymore. At this point, she's just going to be stuck in this. Well, stuck is she's still a senator. Let's just
yeah,
say that she's
yeah,
going to be stuck in the Senate. I do not. She can run again. She could
yeah,
definitely run again.
yeah.
I
And
think
I
she
would
has a
vote for her.
better.
Don't get me wrong. I would vote for her if she did get a chance to do it. I think I would prefer her more
Yeah,
than a lot of these corporate Democrats. But then at the same time, I have a disdain now. Like, I have a lack of trust now because of her actions. Like, at least with Bernie, I'm not saying that Bernie's been perfect, but through the whole stuff, I felt comfortable from his history. Like, the fact that he's done what he's done throughout his whole life, that's the type of person I want as a president. And the fact that people, oh, this guy said something nice about Fidel Castro or whatever the stuff that he said. He just made a general statement. He didn't say I was his best friend. But people in this country, it's like you can't say anything without somebody taking it out of context and saying that, oh, well, he likes communism and he likes this and no. But he said that it's good that he provided education for the people of his country or wherever he's governing. You know what I mean? And what's wrong with that? I'm gonna compliment anybody that, like, there's murderers in this world that have done good things. And if somebody asks me, was that a good thing? I'll say yes, it was a good thing. Was he a murderer? Yes, he was a murderer. You know what I mean? I'm not saying I'm cool with the fact that he was a murderer and that what he did most of his life was amazing just because of the one good thing that the person did. But if you want me to acknowledge that somebody did something that I feel was a correct thing to do, I'm gonna say, yeah, it was a correct thing to do because that's what it is. It's 1 + 1 = 2, right? Like, if I give somebody money and the person did well, that's not necessarily a great example, but if I were to, if somebody said, I'm giving you this so that you can proceed in life and do something better with your life, I'm gonna say that's a good thing. There's nothing wrong with that. But in this country, if it's not a capitalistic view and done in the format that quote unquote this country believes in, oh, it's got to be done this way, and you got to pull up your bootstraps and da 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 da. You just if it's not that, then it's wrong. You can't acknowledge the good things in different beliefs, like in socialism and communism and conservatism, and like there's certain things that I can agree on in regards to each form of everything, like each belief. There's certain things that I believe people should get off their ass and work hard. You know what I mean? But then at the same time, there's got to be a certain leveled playing field for these people. You can't just say, all right, you have no education, you have no money, but I want you to do this. You can't expect that of those people. So you got to provide something for them in order for them to be a something in society, right? You can't just expect a homeless man or woman to just get up and become a stockbroker, right? Or some crazy thing. I mean, maybe they could, but in reality, they don't have the resources for it. Can become a lawyer or a doctor just because you said so. You know what I mean? Like that's what people in
I
this country.
understand. I'm with you, and
You know,
yeah, we're in agreement. I
I know
sent you
you and I
something.
are. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Let
just
me see.
sent you something because we usually try to do a cool down, and I think I found the perfect thing to cool down to.
All right. Let me see what we got here. All right. Let me just rewind this so it doesn't. Hold
Yeah,
on a
take your
second.
time.
Can you hear that, by the way, or did you hear that?
No, I didn't.
All right, so I can hear it, but you can't. All right, let me it might echo your voice a little bit with this thing because like for some reason the audio
I'll
settings.
let you
Let
know.
me.
Yeah,
All right. Let's get to. All right, let me set this up.
It's completely off. Completely off.
Can you hear that?
I'd say that poll book is off by
Hold on
over.
a sec. Hold on, let me.
I have my mic muted. I actually have my mic muted.
Hold on a second, because I'm getting like a double feed for some reason.
Yeah, okay. So just take your time. We could just give this a second.
I don't know why it's doing all this crazy stuff here. Oh, you know what? Maybe I think I know what I need to do here. Let me see if I can get this off of my mic. Maybe this is, oh, that's why it's on. Okay, so that's coming on through here. Maybe that's what it is. All right, let's bring this back. Bring it back, selector. See if this works now.
I do not hear it.
You can't hear it?
No. Just letting you know. No.
Why is that? That's interesting because it's showing as it's.
I can still hear
oh, I
you.
see why. I could see why. I see why. All right, my bad.
You
Rewind
have to
one
bring
more
it back.
time. One more time, my friend. Let me enlarge it so you can see her face.
The poll book is completely off. Completely off.
Off by
That poll-
30,000?
I'd say that poll book is off by over 100,000.
And
That poll book. Why don't you look at the registered voters on there? How many registered voters are on there? Do you even know the answer to that?
No, I guess I'm trying to get to the bottom
Zero.
of this here.
Zero. There's zero.
So, my question then is if the
Guess how many? Wait. What about the turnout rate? 120%.
Well, let's let Representative Johnson ask his question, please.
so the poll book number. There's two things that could happen here. Either the poll book number, if ballots were counted multiple times, there's two options. Option number one is that the poll book numbers are not going to match.
They don't.
The actual. Not by thousands and thousands of votes. That's not what we see right now.
Take
that's
a look
option number
again.
one.
Take a look again.
Option number two is that they essentially were filling in names of people who didn't vote.
Dead people too?
So is that? I
Let's
guess,
let
is that your
Representative
suggestion?
Johnson ask his question, and then when
I
he's
thought that
done.
was his answer. Okay.
Well, I guess that's my question here is why we're not seeing the poll book off by 30,000 votes. That's not the case.
What did you guys do? Take it and do something crazy to it?
I'm just saying the numbers are not off by 30,000 votes. So
I know what
are you
I
saying
saw.
that they're filling in?
I know what I saw, and I signed something saying that if I'm wrong, I can go to prison. Did you?
Okay, I think
I'm just trying to ask you a
let me,
legitimate question here.
yeah, let's let Representative Johnson ask his question, and then don't interrupt him, and then
Okay.
and then if you want to respond to it, that's fine. And did you have more, Representative?
Yeah, I guess I just want to keep following back up with the poll book. So are we saying that the poll book is either wildly off or that they are
Wildly
filling
off.
in names?
It's wildly off, and dead people voted, and illegals voted.
Okay.
So that's my answer.
I think
Lord Jesus. Oh my God. She looks like she's high on something. Like there's like the wiring in her head. It looks like it's like, oh my God. You saw Giuliani grabbing at her like what's wrong with you? Chill out. Calm down. Like you seen her. Did you see the part where he reached over and was trying to like calm her down? Oh my God.
Yeah.
And that, if Giuliani feels like kind of weird about it, you know what I mean? Like, oh my God. Oh God. Oh God, why did he bring her? I would never have brought somebody like that to oh my God. Oh my God.
Well, that has a lot. Oops, sorry about that. It's echoing.
Are you echoing? Hold on a sec. That might be because this is long. How about now?
Yeah, that's better. I can tell immediately. So I was just saying that, of course, it's not even about the insanity of her. It's the idea that it's actually a Republican trying to say, look, I can't even tell you that this is how it works. It doesn't work that way. Literally, the poll book and the number from the election are going to be slightly different because people are going to get on the registration pretty much that day or afterwards. It just is how it works. and the numbers are nowhere near 30,000. It
Yep.
doesn't even, they're not even close to that. Like he's like a Republican trying to say, I can't even find a way to legitimize what you're saying, and I would love to make that happen for you, but you need to calm the fuck down.
Basically, it kills me is because you look at it and it's like, he wants to be, willing to listen to what she has to say, but it's like she was just like, I'm like, okay, whoa, just chill, cool out, like, she couldn't even do it, man. I could be, I saw something and I could be arrested for it. I'm like, really? I'm like, maybe you should be, because maybe I think you're lying, because it doesn't make sense of what you're saying. I don't know, man.
Are you admitting to a crime in front of us? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah,
And
man.
also, the fact is, that he could probably go to prison for quite other like crimes about if he lied about those numbers. If he had found numbers somehow, he's probably not even representatively able to do any of that. Just to be honest, too. So it's like, what would he be called on? He'd be contempt of court, basically contempt of wherever his meeting is, and that's possible. But like, no, of course he's not going to be the same liability. If it doesn't make any sense, it's not supposed to make any sense. I think this is just another crazy person speaking at the crowd, and they're just, why I'm going to say it.
Is this the future of our country? It's us against the crazies. Because it feels like it.
Some of this already existed. Some of this, like C-SPAN stuff like this, already existed. So it just it seems much more. I think it feels much more painful when it's coming from something that's supposed to be the legal team of the president.
Yep.
And that's kind of insane. It's the legal team from the president bringing this up. So that's why it hits. But there was already all of this, I think. I think there's tons of people that were like this, and they just now they got their heydays at different times, I think.
No, that was crazy. Like, it's like that's the type of person that you go to a Walmart and you see them arguing with somebody online and they're making absolutely no sense at all, and they're holding up the line. You know what I mean? Like, that's the type of person I look at and I'm like, yo, this woman's crazy. I wish she would leave. Please just leave. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, I'm like, okay, man, like, enough's enough, man. Like, you're making no sense. Your point is mute. You know what I mean? He's trying to help you make a point, and you're just sitting there complaining, man. Like, you're complaining. I saw this. I saw that. I'm like, and if you got, like I said, if Giuliani is telling you to basically calm down or shut up or whatever it is he was, something's wrong with this person, because Giuliani's ass backwards too, man. You know what I mean? You would think
the little tap, he was just like, yo.
Yeah, just like, just chill. Like, yo, look at his face just right in here, man. Like, I'm just gonna cut right back real quick. Look at the face that he's making in this just little screenshot, man. Like he looks bothered, right? Like, you see his face, like he's just like leaning over, like, oh my god, bro. Oh my god, bro. This is crazy, yo. Yeah. This, I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, we're looking for sanity when there is none, but that's exactly why I needed that to be our chill down for the end of our show.
The reason why this makes me happy is because by January 20th, hopefully, I mean, this is going to be craziness going on, but it'll be on the back burner. It won't be in the, front burner anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we won't have to talk about it every week.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping for, is that week where I finally get to be like, I don't have to talk about Trump at all.
Do you think it's going to get back to? You think it's going to get back to more not national,
I think we're gonna get to
global news?
I think we're going to get back to internal politics, because I think there's going to be a lot of obstruction from the right wing. I think there's going to be a lot of obstruction happening in the Congress, and we're going to have a real debate over. I don't even want to say problem, but it is kind of a problem. But it's a debate over what we can do as a country, and if what we can afford, and that's going to be we're going to ram up against is economic problems. And I don't know if there's a non-corporate answer that's going to come out of the Biden administration. It's
Yeah.
going to be probably to keep ACA, which is fantastic, but to allow for more privatization at the same time. And I feel it just feels like a lot of that is going to be the same old privatization is fine. We need only measured socialism when we need to spend money in emergencies. And we're in an emergency situation. So I do think that we'll get a another bill that has to deal with COVID, maybe two if we're lucky.
I'm hearing things
But
about
we
the
need
stimulus, not like. I'm sorry, I don't mean to. I'm hearing
no
things about the
stimulus is sort of
stimulus,
what I
like.
was looking for.
Oh, okay. Because I don't think they're gonna give us any more checks. That's all I was saying. I didn't know if that's what you were leaning towards, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think that's the only thing that he's can do is that he's going to get a stimulus plan built out, and it might have economic things in there that are. See, that's the thing, that'll never have the Green New Deal kind of elements into it there that we need. We need Green New Deal kind of elements into that. But that's hoping against hope, in my opinion.
Yeah. Have you heard recently anything about like things related to the environment? Because I haven't. It seems like all that got really pushed back, and I haven't heard much
It's
about.
pushed back, and
Yeah.
that's kind of, yeah. Until I hear, I don't have any of that information. Like, that information hasn't been released at all. There's been no talk about who the Environmental Protection Agency will probably be under all of that. That's probably next week, to be honest.
I hope we get something good. I want to hear some more good news. Something we could talk good
Something
about.
that we can cheer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because I don't mind. I know we're not going to get the stuff when it comes to like the corporatist type of things that are going to happen, but at least with the environment, I hope we find somebody that will actually benefit the environment. It's scary.
Yeah.
It's like it's easy with Trump. We know he's just going to be a buffoon. With Biden, he's like a slick fox. You know what I mean? We don't know what kind of agenda he's going to have. Well, we kind of do, but we kind of don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah. But I'm happy though. That was pretty funny though. That was a good one. That lady was
Yeah.
crazy. That was pretty crazy, man. I wasn't expecting that. But
I mean, it is funny that it was right next to Giuliani too. I didn't even notice it until you pointed it out. So I was like, "Oh my god!" I thought this was just some random person, and it's somebody on that legal team. So you pointed out something I needed to see.
oh my god, bro. Oh my god. I meant to find something, but like I've been kind of busy. I wanted to bring something nice and funny too, but I didn't get a chance to. I haven't been feeling 100%. I'm actually feeling better, thank God now. But yeah, that's pretty crazy, man. Giuliani
Yeah.
and his
So
the clown cars, right? They all drive up to the thing, and it's Giuliani and his fellow clowns going out and talking garbage and trying to make a point that's already been proven to be a lie. It's funny, but the thing is that their base eats this stuff up. Yeah, they're lying. They're 30,000. Where's the proof? I don't know, but I know it's there because they're talking about it. All right. I'm like, okay. Yeah.
well, the proof will never find them, so it'll be all right.
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you for joining us today. I hope we all grew a little bit, and I shared a bit of ourselves, and that's how we get it started. That's how we get it going.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Peace out, everybody. Take care.